My friend, it's a huge honor. It's the first time, and I'm such a fan of your heart. But for people that don't recognize your beautiful glasses, beautiful beard, who the hell are you, man?
Oh man, I've been asking who the hell I am for about 47 years now. Still waiting for a good answer. My name is Jeffrey Everett. I run a design firm called Rockets Are Red, named after a Girls Against Boys song. And I have been designing posters for bands for over 20 years. And I'm doing a show at the Punk Rock Museum. It opens February 2nd. My book is releasing around this time as well. So I am staying busy.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. But before talking all about that and the crazy artwork you achieve, I'm curious. Let's get back to when you were kids. How did you start your journey discovering music? Was there any people around you that influenced you, family, friends, or whatever? And yeah, how did that passions and love for music started up?
There was nobody around me. I grew up in a really small town in Massachusetts. It's the town where Mary Had a Little Lamb was written, and that was probably the most exciting thing. We only had FM radio. There was no internet. There was no cool college radio station. There wasn't anything. And I found out really about like punk music and different music by going to like the one cool store that was still 45 minutes away and just being like picking up an album, going to the guy with blue hair and being like, what about this one? And my first experiences with like punk and weird stuff came really from the back end of like getting into bands like Cop Shoot Cop and Girls Against Boys and being like, oh, Girls Against Boys. Oh, they were in a band called Soulside, or like I actually learned about Black Flag from being given a Henry Rollins spoken word record. So I heard him talking and telling stories before I knew he was in a band. And when I was like 15, 16, I would save up money and go into Boston and just start buying whatever I could. And there weren't, again, like no internet, anything like that. There weren't like listening stations. So, like, as an artist, I was like, this looks like a cool record. So, like, that's how I found out about Joy Division. That's how I found out about Danzig. It looked cool, so I bought it. And then it was like CDs were $20. That's like 2 to 3 hours of work at a minimum wage job. So, that Joy Division record, it was well, I guess I'm gonna listen to this 50 times because I just blew, half a day of work's money on this. And then after like the 50th time, you're like, yeah, this is pretty amazing. Like what I appreciated then was discovery and having the time to sink into the music, which I just don't, I miss that. Like, I don't feel like my kids have that, and I don't feel like I have that anymore.
Wow. Wow. I relate to you so much. I remember the first time I started to work, it was not how much do I get at the end, it was how much CD I can buy. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I could like I have food and a shelter. My mom paid for everything at that time. So the budget that I have was for money, all about music. But yeah, it's so cool because I saw that through your work there was so much diversity, so it all came natural when we see the background musically, and I was like that. I was really open mind to music really soon. So and yeah, I remember like when you buff a CD and you have to take the bus ride, so you have like time to read the lyrics, and you don't have any CD or cassette player, so you wait home and then you listen to it, but you know like the fucking lyrics of the
Yeah.
song.
Well, Peter Saville, and I think I'm saying his name correctly. He's the guy who designed all the work for like Factory Records, Joy Division, New Order, etc. And he was always like, if you like the record cover, you should like the band. And I feel like a lot of that has gone away, where like Rihanna and Justin Bieber have like whole lines of merch that look like black metal logo, and it's on one hand, it's really cool and ingenious, but on the other hand, I don't think someone who's into, Dark Throne is going to be
Happy
like
about it.
digging that, yeah, Bieber record. And so like I personally am like a very, like I call myself a designer who can kind of illustrate. I'm not really an illustrator. And so like my focus has always been, I want to do a Bouncing Souls poster that can only be a Bouncing Souls poster. Or I want to do a Slayer poster that is only a Slayer poster. You know what I mean? Like I want to do work that is for that band, and not only for the band, it's for the fans of the band. I want the fans to look at it and go, oh, I get this. I get this reference. I understand where that lyric is from. I understand what this emotion's from. That is my job. And that's when I know I'm successful.
You're right, and that's my reaction when I see, the art through every artist, that you get them, as a fans. And I always said I think the fans, they know, and you're right, and it's a feeling too, and I love it because, like I said, it creates something that through music is visual now, and it create the universe, and it's where you see that art is kind of a living thing, it get the lyrics and the music together, bring something visual, and you're right, it's such important. The first cassette I buffed was Fear of the Dark because of the artwork,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that Derek Briggs is a huge part of the success of Iron Maiden, and even the band said it's because of him, with the first record. So at some point, yeah, you start to help the band get those things they got in their head visually when they were writing or creating riff and everything, became to life.
Yeah. I mean, so my dad is an engineer. He was in the military, and has always been very like, I don't understand what you do, but I understand that people like it. And this realization came to him, I don't know, 12 years ago. I did some work for Rancid, and he came with me to the show to help sell posters.
Oh
And
wow.
he like sat there like a king all night because the staff was like, Mr. Everett, would you like, another ginger ale and things like that. And the thing that stuck out for him, there was this, she looked 16. This like little thing of a punker came over to buy a poster. And dyed red hair, covered in tattoos, got the bullet belt on, leather coat, and she bought a poster. And I was like, hey, like, do you want me to hold on to that for you until the end of the show? The band's about to go on. She was like, oh, hell no. Band comes on, big circle pit opens up. She's in there with the poster, whacking it around like a sword, clearing space. End of the night, we're loading out. I have like just a couple posters left that like I had signed by the band. And my dad sees the girl, and he's like, hey man, like her poster is like bent in half and like covered covered with dirt. I like to think it was blood, but it's probably just dirt. And he goes, "You should give her one of the signed posters." And it was one of those like, "Okay, dad." I'm like 30 something at the time. I'm like, "Okay, dad." And I go over to her and I'm like, "Hey, your poster's wrecked. Do you want another one?" And she's like, "Man, I got a kid at home sleeping and I want to bring this poster back, put it in a frame, hang it up above their bed so that they know that their mom lived their life." And I think like that is when my dad got it. Not only am I trying to capture the music, I'm trying to give people a memory of a good night, you know? And yeah, to this day, he's still like, "Yeah, I don't get what you do, but I know people understand it." So
It's amazing. I have kids, and that's the kind of relationship you want. Because it's still cool because your dad ain't love it, but he get a part of it and he get the importance. And yeah, it's the same with my family. It took them like more than 15 years to get the radio show and everything. But when band that they love, I start to get interview with them, they kind of get, okay, man, I get it.
yeah.
So, but they enjoy it? No, they don't care.
Do your kids appreciate what you do?
Yeah, my girl turned 14 and she got her first vinyl table and she love it. She have three vinyl now, so she start in that quest. And the little one is 3 years old and he's really like responding to music and he already play the drums, but really softly. Like
Hmm,
he understand that he love maybe the vibration or whatever the
yeah.
melody, but you want to do something. So yeah, I have the chance, but I get you. When I bring my kids to record stores, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're lucky. My kid don't give a fuck."
See, my kids, I think they appreciate it, but like, okay, in April, I got to do work for Iggy Pop and I got to do his tour poster. And I was only West Coast tour, but still, it was like, I'm doing work for Iggy Pop. Like, this is a big deal. And Iggy, he's up there. He's as old as my dad. And I'm like, "Can I get a free ticket to the show?" Yes. "Can I get two free tickets to the show?" Yes. "We're going to San Francisco. We are flying across the country to go see Iggy Pop." And my kids are just like, "Really?" And I'm like, "You're going, at a minimum, you are going to San Francisco. Like, that's pretty cool, I guess." And it's like, "Well, you get to play video games on the airplane." Okay, fine. You know, but then like, you know, that my kids will go visit with other kids and they'll be like, "Yeah, there's no music in the house. There's no art on the walls. There's no books. There's, like no culture, you know?" And then like that's when I think they give pause and they go, "All right, I think my dad's onto something. Maybe he's not the lamest person of all time. I mean, he's still up there, but he's not the worst." So,
Yeah, you're right.
so did you judge your daughter's what she bought for her vinyl?
No, I bought her like two Nirvana vinyl, the unplugged one, and a kind of greatest hit that I don't know if it was Geffen that released it, but it's kind
Okay.
of the best of. And I bought it the last Ghost EP. She's a huge Ghost fan. Because I remember when she was born, I was 28, and I was doing a lot for the radio show. And when you're 28 you don't realize that you're such a lucky and you still want to party and everything. So but I have you have the do I brought her to my world or I get her outside, so we bring her to my world and she fucking dig it. We did the
Awesome.
same with the little one, bring them to show like really young. you
Awesome.
know.
So what was the first show that she went to?
The first concert was Bad Religion.
Oh, it's a good one.
She already saw like 3 time Iron Maiden since we go every times, and we got ticket for the next time. So yeah, she saw a lot of show actually, maybe more than 50, 60.
Wow. Yeah, my kids, their first kind of show was Harry and the Potters,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
like a band that does every song about Harry Potter. That was successful. And then I took them to see Against Me with the
Oh wow.
Bouncing Souls in Asbury Park. And again, I think it was like overwhelming for them. But in retrospect, I'm like, your first show was Bouncing Souls and Against Me. And they're like, yeah, I'm like infinitely cooler than everybody else at school. So,
Yeah.
like, all right, man, I'm trying to give you some scene points while you still can, when it still matters. I'm trying to give them to you.
But
So,
Against Me are so good. I brought my mother to because it was the 400 years of Quebec, and they were doing like nonstop show each week, and it was all free. So I was eating. My mother got a boat near the venue, so we eat there, and I said, "Do you want to go to the show?" And she said, "Okay. If I don't like it, I'm gonna leave." And there was a grandmother, like something like maybe near, 19 years, and it was amazing. And Laura like pointer and was like, "Oh, there's a lot of older people in the crowd." And was, "Yeah, my mom is there, man. Finally, she gonna get what I'm listening to." And she loved it. I think it's a good door. And the bouncing soul also, because it's song that it reached everybody. If you
yeah.
like melody and great harmony and
Yeah, I mean, the Souls are a band. I legitimately think I've seen them over 30 times. And every time I see them, I'm like, yeah, that's good. That was fun. Do I need to see them again? I don't know. But then they come around and I'm like, yeah, I got to see them again. And every time, every single time, they are amazing. Just one of the best bands. I actually like, I don't nerd out often. I
oh
I got
wow.
my DC Bouncing Souls tattoo, and Brian, the bass player, was nice enough to give it to me. So that was pretty cool. And he was nice enough to contribute a little writing for my book that just came out too. So that was very cool of him. And then to tie it all back up, uh, the show at the Punk Rock Museum, I think we have four Bouncing Souls posters that we're going to be showcasing. So super excited. Yeah, we got Bouncing Souls, we got Against Me, we got No FX, we got Gaslight Anthem. We got all the good ones. Jawbreaker, Jawbreaker is a later in life find for me. And it's just one of those man, there's just so much good music out there that you have no clue about. You
Mm,
hear about this, you hear
yeah.
about that, and then someone's like, "Hey, you want to do some work for Jawbreaker?" Yeah, okay, yeah, I know that name. And then you listen to the records and you're like, "How did I go so many years without knowing how amazing this band is?" You know? So, yeah, I'm excited for this show.
I was growing in a time that when I start listening to punk rock was at the end of the 90s. I was more into metal before that.
Mhm.
When I started to listen to punk rock, 4 years later, 5 years later, there was a huge emo waves. So I thought a lot of band were emo like Jawbreaker, and I didn't get to listen to them because of that. I was a stupid teenager, not that open mind as now.
Right.
And then when I start listening to it, I was like, "Ooh, bummer, I missed that."
But but there's also just this abundance of music out there.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the hardest things. Creatively right now, we're in this wonderful era where it's like there are so many painters and designers and writers and musicians, and you can record a whole album by yourself in your bedroom. But trying to find those quality pieces is really difficult. And it's like, as I get older, I realize like bands that continue to be passionate and continue to produce on whatever level, big or small, I have such respect for, because it is so much harder to like keep on going.
Yeah.
And like, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I know people, who've been doing it for 20 years more than me, who are trying to figure out how to make it work still. And I know people who are literally 20 years younger than me, who have 100,000 followers on Instagram, but don't know how to get paid. And so I feel like the thing right now is like, we have to like support art. We have to support people who make great radio, such as yourself. We have to, support, you know, artists of all types, creatives of all type, and it's just getting harder and harder to do that.
It's true. It's true. The problem now is there are too much band, so it's hard for them to find the audience. And back in the days, as kids, when somebody got a tape, it was like a virus. Everybody taping, and now it's pretty different. You always try to sell a band to your friend, and it's like a TV show. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna listen to it, but you don't really care. You kind of have to force them. See it, listen to that. It's fucking good. So yeah, you're right. I think that's why I think we still have success with the radio show after 15 years. It's because people want to discover, but they don't know where to start and everything. But the pandemic really helped that in the way that people were working at home and have the time to discover way more music or take the time to. And I'm not saying that everybody I got a lot of time of their end, but with life it's hard. So I think that yeah, you're right, and it's gonna be a struggle because everything costs. It's not cheap traveling now, so it's gonna be hard for band. But people want to see live music, and we're at the time that I think, and I see more and more in that. Again, the same name and everything. So it's gonna be a switch and a huge new wave of kids coming, and I'm sure you see that. You're gonna work with band that they're in the beginning of their 20s and they have so much energy, man. It's crazy.
Well, like I did work for the band Idols,
Yeah, good example.
and it was amazing. I did one of their tours. Man, after COVID, everything kind of blurs together. I want to say like 2019, and they were playing really small shows around DC and Baltimore. And it was that thing of like being in that room, you could feel that these guys needed to be playing, amphitheaters. And I've now seen Idols from like a 200-person venue. I've seen them at 1,000-person venue. I saw them, a year and a half ago at like a 3,000-seat venue sold out in DC. And it's just like, you want success for bands like that. Like right now, there's a band from Baltimore called End It, who I just love. And it's that same thing. You're like, I want you to be successful. So it's like, I'm going to buy your merch, because I want you to have that extra 20 bucks. Jeff Rosenstock, I'm wearing a Jeff Rosenstock shirt. I seen Jeff Rosenstock in sweaty, freezing basements in Philly. And then a few years later, sold out shows at the Fillmore. I love the man. Jeff, please don't get angry. You don't want to anger another Jeff. We are very, very furious people. Jeff has like the worst merchandise. And as you can tell, like I'm not a man to wear multicolored anything. And so like I'm like, dude, like I'm down for the cause, but I don't want to buy a rainbow flag with a pot leaf and 666 on it. I'm not of that age anymore. I don't want a yellow shirt, you know? So I've literally like gone to see him at shows and just been like, you go up to the merch person, you look at everything, you go, huh, I've taken the 20 out and just put it into the tip cup and just said, thank you all for being here. You know, go buy some snacks, you know, give a shirt to somebody else, you know, because it's just I I want bands to succeed. Because like we were talking about it before, COVID like kicked people's asses. You
Mhm.
know, like I worked dealing with the COVID pandemic, and it's like it was tough. And watching like Schitt's Creek and Letterkenny and Shoresy and like the Canadian humor shows, I was just like, I have found my people. They're snarky and angry, but still deep down loving. So thank you, Canada, for having that. But like we just need more joy in this world. And so it's like, let's support people, even if they're angry and stomping around. It's like, let's support people who bring joy and like authentic creativity to the world.
Wow. Thanks. Thanks. It's funny, I saw a documentary about a Canadian that worked in Hollywood. He's a
Mhm.
writer. I don't remember his name. I'm gonna put it down later. But yeah, and he trying to define like what's being a Canadian, and he realized that around the world, nobody really knew what it's like to be Canadian. And yeah, I think we're funny people that don't maybe take themselves too seriously, but we're not. We can be pissed off too, and yeah, we apologize really often.
But even like so one of my favorite Canadian punk bands is Fucked Up.
Yeah.
And I'm always just like, Damien is like, if I was to have a punk rock spirit animal, it would be Damien. Because it's like, you know, we are both men of size. His beard is a little bit more lush than mine. And he is singing some fucking angry music. But then he's all like, let's all love each other. And all these songs are about love. And I'm like, yes, I get this, you know? So I think that like best represents Canada. It's like angry but still loving at the same time. It's a good,
Wow.
moist, sweaty hug that envelops all of you.
Yeah, and we have interesting band like Propaganda is one that got signed on Fat Track and really put and DOA of course that kind of paved the road with
Oh
Black
yeah.
Flag back in the days. But yeah, the inside of what we do is pretty mysterious to the rest of the world. But we got great band, man. It's not winter all the time.
No, it is not. But yeah, so I'll do the cheap plug yet again. My show opens up with the amazing Shauna Kenny at the Punk Rock Museum, February 2nd. We're going to be doing an artist talk between 6 and 8. We'll be doing some giveaways. Her books are amazing. My book, Let It Bleed, is amazing. That is shipping soon. We finally have all that stuff sorted out. Yeah, just good times.
Yeah, grab a copy. I'm gonna grab a copy, of course. I can't wait to read it. And I'm curious. How what was the first band that came to you, and how that journey started up to do those artwork?
So my first poster, I hit it out of the park. Bucket list all the way. Firewater, who it was the offshoot of Cop Shoot Cop, but it was like the guitar player from Jesus Lizard, the singer from Cop Shoot Cop. I think like they had somebody from Soul Coughing in it. They were headlining with Scott McCloud from Girls Against Boys opening. And it was like two of my favorite bands who both contributed to my book. Um, they were my first poster. And it was just like, it really was one of those like, excuse me. It really was one of those like, I should just hang it up. You know, I got to do work for my two favorite bands the first time out. I should just be done.
I'm
But
done.
alas, 400 something concert posters later, I'm still going at it.
Yeah, and that's amazing because they're like it's like following band. We always wonder what's next, and that's cool, man. And a lot of people got your heart, into their house, apartment, whatever, and it's so cool that you stick to it and you still do it. And again, it's history, it's and people, with the show and everything, it brings something kind of physical to have the poster and everything. I have tons and tons. I collect them. I think they're important piece of art. And man, it's crazy that you had the chance to work with all those artists and still be humble and be yourself.
Oh, that's my inner introvert. So just reminding me to settle it down. My kid one time when we were driving, a song from an artist I was working with came on the radio, and I was like, "Hey, Alex, like I worked with this guy," and he's like, "Yeah, that's cool, but remember, he's the rock star, not you." And I'm just like, "Thanks. That's 100% true, but you didn't need to remind me."
Yeah, I have the same approach, and stay humble. And I'm happy that after all those years, we can still do a art and make a living of that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Of course, people go at the Punk Rock Museum. How you felt being there? It must be like I don't know. It's like for me, it would be such a amazing reward. And yeah, it's crazy, man.
I am extremely amazed that this is happening. It is extraordinarily humbling. Like, I mean, it was legitimately rated like one of the best new museums in the United States, and that's saying a lot. And so to like be a part of that, I mean, they have a huge community of people there. I'm working with Lisa Johnson, who is on the board there. She is fantastic. You know, one of my problems, and this is, it's a problem, but also, it's really helped with my productivity is I'm always thinking like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And this exhibit really is all right, take a pause. We're putting this up. A lot of people are going to see this. We have like the AIGA Las Vegas. We're doing two like special events with them. We're doing the opening night. We're the next day we're doing a workshop, and it's just like take a moment and like enjoy this because it's not going to happen, you know, again. It may not happen again, but like just make sure I'm just making sure I appreciate it. As much work as it is, you know, it's a moment to also stop and take it in. So I am extraordinarily like humbled and honored to be working with the whole punk rock team on this.
Yeah,
Get to
it's it
meet you. So aces on that.
You deserve it. You fucking deserve it, and it's your moment and half time. And you're right, but it's so cool because we're not doing that for the reward. It's the passions. No money, whatever. You still do it, and I think it's a great reward that life gave you when you really live your passion and you went deep with it.
Yeah, I mean, this is like other people go play golf or have stamp collecting or, get a meth addiction. This is my, slightly cheaper than having a meth addiction.
Collecting vinyl is really near that heroin
Yeah.
addiction, but my friend, thank you so much, Jeff. I had a blast. You're an amazing human being. and it's such an honor to got you on the show. And of course, we're gonna do a huge special and air the interview on Monday. And people, you still got time to go, of course, to the Punk Rock Museum and see all of that.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm hoping to see people next Friday. Again, wonderful to be on this show. Thank you for being so generous.
Thank you, and come see us in Quebec.
I will. I will.
You're invited.
Quebec, good people there.
Yeah, it's cool. Go in the summer. It's way better than winter. Ask Fat Mike. You know all about that. I'm sure he got winter clothes just because of Quebec.
Dude, I have gone to Quebec and I went in late November.
Oh, yeah, it's dark.
Yeah. Yeah, that was tough. That was tough. So,
Jeff, thank you so much. You're amazing. And hope to see you, of course, and have fun, of course, with the Punk Rock Museum.
thank you very much.
Hell yeah. Cheers, my friend. Bye bye.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.